Welcome to the Triple Fantasy Network YouTube channel, and we are here with me and Coach Lewis on another edition of Coach's Corner. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. This rookie class is it's quite appealing. After I kind of thought it was sort of trash before the draft started, but you got some names in here. You got some real hoopers.
Yeah, so we're coming on Coach's Corner a little different today. We're going to look at the NBA Draft 2020 review. So we're going to go through some of these guys. We're going through our best picks, our worst picks, some guys that we think that the jury's still out on. We think that, hey, there's a possibility that there's still some value there. Our best value picks and some guys we still believe in, because me and Coach, we are softies at heart, and we still believe in some of these guys out here. And this draft class is interesting. I don't think people thought it was very good at the beginning. I think that there's some value here, but there were some iffy picks, some reaches that we're going to get into. So we're going to break this down. We're going to go through our best picks. We got film for you guys. We're going to kind of break down the top plays for the year and just going through it. So, Coach, you ready?
I'm set.
All right, so we're gonna do our best picks of the draft, guys that we think that definitely showed us something this year. So, Coach, who is your best pick of the 2020 NBA draft?
It's got to be LaMelo Ball. He got drafted 3rd overall, and to me, I think he's clear-cut the best player in this draft, and we are looking at a future superstar. He leads his team to the playoffs. We look at these averages of 15, 6, and 6. He's all across the board. His three-point percentage, it's 35, but you can see that he's got super long range. His free throw percentage is evident that he does have a good trigger at 76%. And as rookie, you see this with rookie field goal percentage. They do start low.
Yeah.
But what I love about LaMelo Ball is he is infectious with winning basketball. His highlights showcase itself. Lob City, the people around him get excited. You see him start cutting. They move at a faster pace. He can throw it full court, underhand, overhand. And he got a little bit of some playoff experience. I think that's going to bode well going forward. They definitely show that they are inexperienced. He's inexperienced in that situation, but I think that's going to help him going forward. I think he even motivated his bro to kind of step up. He's like, my little brother is killing it. As you can see,
that is so much fun.
1 foot like Dirk half spin move. He's so freaking creative. He can do those passes with the right hand, but as well as his left. He has a certain pace, and because of his size at 6'7" as a point guard, he can just put you on his rear, and he finishes so well. He can have a floater game that extends almost to the 3-point line. And he steps back. Like we said, he's long. He's got smarts on defense, and he gets his hands in a lot of deflections. And I think he has potential to be a pretty good defender and to be able to defend multiple positions.
I love him. I've always said that he was going to be the best ball. Like I've said, I've been on record with my buddies, not on this because we weren't here yet, but I have always said he was going to be the best ball. He has the best athletic profile. He has that range.
Once I saw the growth spurt, I believed it. I was like, he still needs to grow a little bit. And then he did. He went overseas and came back a giant, even bigger than Lonzo.
Yeah. I mean, and he did, right? And he looks good. I think he can shoot very well. I think he's a pretty good shooter. He's a creator. I mean, we did a recent, if you haven't checked it out, we did a top 5 under 25 guys. LaMelo's I don't know if we put LaMelo on there. I know we talked about him, but he's that
No,
good.
The consensus was we did not have him, but we did have him 6'7". It's just because the league is damn good at 25 and under.
Yeah, the league is solid, but LaMelo's fun to watch, man. I think that sometimes they get that ball hey, get all the ball dad, all those guys. You saw Lonzo, he's okay, but LaMelo's can play, and he got the Hornets to if he would have played probably the whole year, he probably would have got him up to the top seeds, probably top 6, maybe 6, 7 in that range, or maybe. But
they were 4 or 5 at a certain point.
Yeah,
and he would have ran away with that rookie of the year. I know that other guy, Anthony Edwards, was scoring all over the place, but I think Minnesota really made a mistake as far as choosing a better player. And the Warriors, they got to be regretting this. I know James Wiseman fit their profile of their team, but LaMelo Ball fits in with any offense because of his size.
Yeah,
and his abilities.
LaMelo goes first if we redid this, right?
There's no question.
Yeah.
There is no question.
Yeah.
And I know they thought maybe fit with Russell or whatever.
Whatever.
He fits in with anybody. He plays well with Rozier. He plays well with Graham. He plays well with Gordon Hayward. It doesn't matter who's on the court with him. He's going to uplift their talents.
Yeah. The Hornets finally made a good draft pick, Coach. That's what we're talking about here.
And they're relevant. We're talking about them.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, you finally did it. After 20 years, you're my guy. All right, well, we're going to go to my guy. I have to give a shout out to my boy Tyrese Halliburton. He got picked 12th by the Kings. I was so ecstatic when he got picked by the Kings. As you know, I'm a Kings fan, unfortunately. This year, he's averaging 13, 3, and 5. His field goal percentage is at 47%. His three-point percentage is at 40%. And he can shoot free throws, 85%. I think that for me, it's just that the guys that went before him, the reason why I put him a little higher, my best picks, is because some of these guys are bust already. Like some of these guys that we're going to talk about later. Halliburton fell, and I don't know necessarily why Halliburton fell. I'm glad that he did it. You'll notice it here. He's athletic. He has his shot though makes me scared. But if you look here, you'll just see it. He's athletic. He plays well with Fox. Him and Fox together in that backcourt is phenomenal. You're going to see it here. You can shoot too. He's got a little Sean Marion shot looking like. You remember our boy Sean Marion, Coach?
It's awkward. Oh,
it's awkward, but it goes in. But he's a hell of a defender. He's long. He's lengthy. He can create his own shot. Actually, it's not pretty. Like, let's not pretend like it's pretty here. But when I'm watching games, the cool thing about him is this dude just balls. Like, he's one of those guys that you're like, hey, he's going to get on the floor. He's going to get dirty. He's going to make plays. He fits everything really well. So when you're watching him, he fits the team well. He can score. He can create. There's a lot of things that Halliburton does well. I just wish that he played for another team, because if he played for another team, I think he gets showcased a little bit more. But you'll see it here. His ability to attack, his ability to finish. I think he can shoot well. I think he's one of the best value picks also in this league. And you'll see it here. He can even go off the dribble, right? Like, he does a lot of great things. I love this play about him. That shot just makes you laugh. But I think that he has that value. And I think that when you look at him and what he did, I think that's just part of kind of who he is as a player. What do you think of Halliburton, Coach?
I think that there's a great case for that. You say this is the best pick because he should have went 4th, he should have went 5th, he should have went 6th.
Yeah,
he's playing on the Kings and they couldn't keep him off the court. They have Buddy Hield and D Fox, and guess what? He can fit in with them because of his length. He's infectious. People love playing with him. His efficiency as a rookie. I don't know if I've almost ever seen a rookie that shoots as much as him. Shoot 41 from three-pointer line, 85 from the free throw line. And I see that continuing. He did that in college, and they were like, oh, the line's further back. Will it translate? Oh, it translates. He rebounds. He gets assists. He steals. Like, he's efficient. He's going to be a super-duper good fantasy basketball player for the rest of his career. But I just like his personality. Dropping all the way to 12. Like, the Wizards could use this. I think every single team ahead of him, the Hawks. Like, I know you have players at those positions, and you're not just get the best player. And I think he was a sure thing. I think that the top scouts were saying the same thing. Like, there's no reason he should have dropped the 12. But I mean, the Kings, they just fell in his lap, and you lost Bogdanovich going to Atlanta, and you didn't skip a beat. And now you got a guy on a really good contract that plays well with De'Aaron Fox, and is just going to grow. So he's got Team USA experience. I love Tyrese Halliburton, and definitely the best pick, him and LaMelo in this draft. So, and
I think the Hawks are kicking themselves in the butt a little bit, because I think he would have been a very good compliment to Trey. Like, that would have been a very good compliment, right? Like, rather than going out into free agency and what they spent, imagine drafting Halliburton there, having that very good compliment, him and Collins and doing those things. I think that's the team, even the Wizards too. But I kind of get the Wizards. If they had Russ, they had and they Beal and those guys.
I thought Atlanta was kind of thinking about their young guys and Herder, and they have Cam Reddish and Hunter, so they kind of went another direction. But they got a guy that they already have a really good player in front of him. So
we'll talk about him in a minute.
He's coming next.
All right, we as optimists, we like to start with our best picks. Now let's talk about some of the worst picks, and I think it's fair to say, like, we think they're worse now. We're not talking about them as players. It's just in general, like, where they got drafted may not be with the talent of where we thought they were at. So I just want to be on the forefront there, okay, especially when we talk about these young athletes. But, Coach, we're not
trying to kill their confidence like Kwame Brown and Michael Jordan, but we are, we have to be real about these situations. And
to be
No
fair,
mistake.
they don't give a shit about us. But all right, what do
Exactly.
you, Coach? Who is your kind of your worst pick right now?
All right, somebody I was really high on coming into the draft. It's Isaac Okoro. I'm very scared about him. He logged in the second most minutes behind Anthony Edwards, and if you see these averages, it's like, oh, as a rookie, that's pretty good. But I mean, the guy's playing over 30 minutes a game.
Yeah,
9.6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. The field goal percentage is low. The 3-point, and that is what worries me, is that he is a one-sided player, and that part of his game needs to develop for him to be a relevant NBA pro. Defensively, he has really good abilities. He plays angles well, but he doesn't have explosion too well. He doesn't have that burst. His vision at 1.9 assists per game, I just don't see that. They had injuries as far as in the guard position with Garland, with Sexton missing time, and you were looking for him to take a big step up, but he had one game where he had 35. But other than that, I don't really see the offense abilities, and unless he really, really hones in and develops into a 3-point shooter, which we have seen in this league, he does have potential, especially with the defense. I see their angle in drafting him with the 2 offensive guards and getting the defensive minded player, but I think that there are players that went below him that are just better. And it's hard to, give up on a kid like that, especially somebody I was high on, but I just don't see him as being like a future all-star. And that's what you want in pick number 5.
Yeah. I mean, he went 5, right? Like if we're talking about this kid as being like, we're talking about him being a 22nd, pick, and he looks very valuable. I think you hit it on the head in terms of his 3-point percentage. I think that worries me a little bit, especially in this league. If you're not hitting threes in the NBA at this point, like what else are you bringing to the table? Defensively, he's okay. He has okay, field goal percentage is okay. But I think when I mention Isaac, when I think of him as okay. And that's
I'm scared of like a Stanley Johnson result here, because Stanley Johnson can play his ass off on defense.
Yeah.
But it just offensively, you're not bringing nothing to the table, and then you just can't find a spot in today's NBA like that.
Yeah. And I'd argue to think that he played probably the most games as a rookie. He's pretty close. Like he as all the guys that we're talking about today, he played the most when you're looking at his games played. And what he did was fine. It was average. But when you're looking at a 5th pick, I want superstar, right? Top 5, especially with this year's draft we talked about. Top 5, you're looking for that guy. I think this was a reach. I know at the time it was a reach. So that's what I kind of worry about him. But you hit it on the head. He's okay. If he can learn how to hit that corner 3, I think he'll be valuable. But I don't think he'll ever reach top 5 status, right? Like, oh, that's a guy that we had to grab.
And another thing, he got the opportunity, like you said, second most minutes played. We actually saw it out, and we got enough tape to kind of see like that's not giving us enough. So your guy's coming up next, Onyeka Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks, and why do you have him as one of your worst picks?
Yeah, no, Onyeka, he's okay. Like, I think that for me coming out when I watched the draft, he wasn't someone I was very high on coming out of college. He was okay, but if you look at what he's averaged this year, he played 50 games. He's playing in it was a weird fit. I feel like they had a clog in his position. I don't necessarily. Yeah. I don't necessarily know like what they were looking for with him. 4 points, 3 rebounds, not even, half of assist. Field goal percentage is pretty good, but he's just going to score around the basket. He doesn't have a 3-point shot. Like, he's not going to be that guy. And his free throw percentage is 63, which is okay. Like, we're not talking about like a terrible player here. But when you watch him, there's just like, I was watching his tape and I'm going through, and I've watched a lot of Hawks games, so I actually do like Trae Young and watching those games there. There just doesn't seem like he makes an impact. Like, yeah, he can do a pick and roll and he can dunk. Defensively, he's okay. Like, I've seen flashes from him defensively. And again, this is where we kind of talked about with Isaac. Like, you're drafting a guy 6th. If he's going to be a pick and roll guy and a defensive presence, that's a dude I can get in the 2nd round, even in the NBA draft. I feel like you can kind of plug and play these guys. He has a high motor, and I appreciate like what he can do, like just in terms of like his competitiveness, what he can have there. He can rebound okay. He basically, that this is his game. Like, he's going to stay around the basket and he's going to do that. Now, I think that he's going to have a long standing in the league. Like, he'll probably stay in the league. Like, this isn't someone we're going to be talking about as being like a complete bust. But again, it's just based on value, right? He's your 6th pick in the draft. Now, if they do move on from some guys, we talked about Collins recently, we talked about some other guys, maybe he gets a little bit more run there, but he'll never live up to that 6th pick, in my opinion. I just don't see it. He's a very valuable guy. If the Plumlees can still play in the league, Onega's going to be able to play in the league, but I don't know necessarily if it is worth that 6th pick in the draft.
And that's what I think if I'm trying to put my Atlanta Hawks GM hat, that's probably maybe what they were thinking, like a backup plan for if Capella doesn't come back to his old form and doesn't fit with Trae Young, or if John Collins walks in free agency, because as we know, he is a restricted free agent and they just paid a lot of people a lot of money. So I don't know if it's that easy for Atlanta to retain him. What I like about him is his defensive ability, his ability to switch. That is exciting, but he's kind of a one-tool player offensively. He can run the pick and roll. He's got good anticipation. We've seen that even from Chino Hill's days playing with the Ball brothers. And he catches lobs well. He dealt with some injuries at the beginning of the season. So the jury's still out on this kid. I think he has a long career too, but going 6 overall, we're looking for a little bit more. He is getting a little bit of playoff experience right now as he's backing up Capella. He moved over Bruno Fernando, so like that's already a positive move, and he's playing on a good young team. And with Trae Young, sometimes you just kind of have to be in the right place at the right time. So
you ain't getting the ball, coach. Trey's not passing you the ball. Like you got to work for yourself. So
you're in the dunker spot, which he excels in. You might get a lob or two.
But if I'm drafting some of the 6th pick, and this just comes to me, like it frustrates me. I want an impact player. Is he going to be an impact player? No, he's a solid guy. Like, and that could be just a testament to this draft class, right? But as we've seen, there are some guys that drafted later that I think are some great value picks, which you could have grabbed. So
Stewart plays his position, and he looked damn good for Detroit. And then we already talked about Halliburton, and Halliburton would fit in seamlessly with Trae Young. I thought that at the time as well.
Yeah. So that's fair. All right, let's go to our next topic, which is the jury is still out here. These are guys that either maybe got injured or we just think that, hey, there's some value with these guys or what they can do in the league. So, Coach, who is your guy that you're okay with where he got drafted and you're waiting to see what he can do next year?
All right. This team is a bad team, and we just talked about them hitting on a good pick with Isaiah Stewart, and Sadiq Bey is damn good too. They went with Killian Hayes as the future point guard. He looks really good in a pick and roll, but look at that field goal percentage, just a god awful 35%. I mean, it was a struggle. He had that hip injury, so that held him back. But you see his free throw percentage is 82. He does produce all around. Like, he gets assists, he can rebound pretty well. He's got really good size as a point guard, and he creates some separation. And lefties just look cool when they're in motion. And he shows flares where it's like, oh man, that was a nice highlight. That was a nice play. He's super young. He's one of the youngest players in this draft. I think he was 19 coming in. And you see it, the stroke looks sweet when he does get open. He runs the court pretty well. He's got decent vision. Like I said, as a pick and roll player, I like what it looks like. But you are scared. Rookies getting injuries and multiple injuries at one time is super scary. And the jury's still out on Killian Hayes. I wish him good luck, but being in Detroit, we've seen people flame out before, and this might be another case.
I think if he could shoot well, right? Cause like we seen him spot up here, if he can kind of improve that, I understand why you picked
good quickness too. You're seeing that in the tape.
Yeah, and then he has value. He's like that old school kind of like just he's here. He can kind of he fits the team very well. The Pistons are so damn bad though, and that's why I think you have the jury still out, right? Those Pistons are so bad that it's hard to tell like where they're gonna fit, who they're gonna grab.
He'll get an opportunity next year too to play a lot of minutes.
Yeah. And I think that imagine him with Mobley from USC, like a guy that I really like, or even maybe Jalen Green gets drafted that high, but I think he needs a good complement. I think they're going to kind of go big guy in the draft. That's kind of where I'm at. So if they fit some of the pieces around him, I like that. I like that ability that they have, and they have that Blake Griffin drama and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's fair. I like him though. I think he's okay. Right. So that's kind of my value there.
And it's hard for foreign players to translate to the NBA right away. And he's a case. And maybe Alexi Pokashchi that's showing up next is the same story here.
Yeah, so Coach talked about my guy Alexi from the Thunder. I like this kid. I've always liked him, and there's just something about him that makes me laugh. Like he's skinny as hell. Yes. He's skinny as hell, Coach. So let's, I understand that they talked about him. He's 7 foot, 190 pounds. That's kind of where he's listed at, which is, yes. But he got picked 17th. He's played in 45 games this year for the Thunder, who are, I think, Coach, they're going to be rebuilding until like 2035. But you have them here. He's averaging 8, 4, and 2. His 3-point percentage wasn't great this year, which I think is going to improve because he does very well in the foreign when he was playing overseas. So I like that about him. Now, the thing about when you're looking at kind of what he did well, and the things that the things that I like about Alexi is this: he can shoot. He has that weird that he's not bad because he played point guard overseas. So like when he was playing overseas, he could play point. He's like,
he's a guard.
He's a guard. Like literally, that's what he is. He could spot up and shoot. I think this is where his game is, right? He's going to be a spot up shooter, and if he can improve maybe a little bit of his strength, that's where it's at. He can't guard shit. So when we're being honest here, he's not going to be able to guard that many people. And he is a liability there. But look, he can. Yeah,
attack. Look how close his feet are together when he defends. Widen your stance, sir.
Yeah, well, all right, Coach. I get it. I understand that part of it. But I do like his ability, right? I do think that he has this sneaky kind of he can attack, he can make moves, he can shoot. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a superstar, but at 17th, and with how much he's going to get a lot of playing time. I think in the next couple of years, especially the Thunder as they're rebuilding, I don't see them grabbing a guy like him. So maybe he can fit into that role. If he can improve his strength a little bit and kind of just fit in that role, I like that value at 17. I think there's something pops out at me about his playmaking and stuff. I know people made these weird comparisons to Dirk Nowitzki. He's not Dirk, but he can be his own version of his European self and attack, find some open shots, and do those things. What do you think about Alexi? I don't think you've ever really talked about him before.
Yeah, and you said they're not going to get someone like him because no one is like him. He reminds me of playing a 2K in a long time ago, and you got your creative player, and you have a 7-foot point guard that happens to be 165. It just looks super weird, and he's actually we have a real person that looks like that. He does have some creation. He does Euro step from 3-point line and gets almost in the lane. I do like that. His shot is pure. I mean, it looks beautiful. Who knows about the picks though that the OKC's getting? The Clippers, they're not looking too well.
That's true.
But I think that it was a good gamble. They knew that they wanted him the entire time. They had to make a trade on draft day to lock him up. But for the team that has just the youngest roster and is playing for the future, to take a gamble and a risk on this kid, I would have done it too. So Sam Presti, this might land and might work out for you. And the 3-point game is huge in today's NBA. And if you can shoot like him and you have some of these offensive abilities, it might work out.
And he's only 19, Coach. He's young, right?
He just got here too. He doesn't speak the English language 100% yet, and so he's still getting accustomed to everything here. And like you said, the experience does help. With the jury still out, he will get that next year and a lot of it. And because he's 7 foot and he has those guard skills, you have versatility in your lineup who you can kind of put around him. And who knows what Shea does with him? Maybe he brings out a different edge of him. We know how hard he works. So I like your pick there.
You can't teach height, and you can't teach kind of that skill set with that height. He has it. So I believe there. All right, well, we're going to go to our best value picks. And actually, we disagree on this a little bit. Coach doesn't know that. But his guy I'm not necessarily as high on as others. So best value picks here that we thought in the draft. Coach, who is your guy?
I will die on Cole Anthony Mountain if I have to. I've loved Cole Anthony since I knew that he was a high school prospect, and his father, Greg, was somebody that I watched for years and years and years. I love his intensity. I love his leadership. I love that he is fearless. Look at his numbers, 13. Really good rebounder, especially for his size. Basically 5 a game, 4 assists. The field goal percentage scares me. 33 is not terrible, especially with his work ethic. I could see that going up. And free throw line, he's certified. He's good. He's a lead guard for Orlando. I thought that this is like just a perfect situation. I think he fell at 15. I think he's a lot better than these guards going ahead of him. I think he's better than Killian Hayes. We just saw one game winner. How about two? For your rookie year to have 2 game winners and the difficulty of those shots, the fade with a taller defender on you. I think he has a good patience as far as getting the defender on his back and creating for others and himself. He is a scoring guard that does have some assist abilities. He's not the greatest passer. I think he has, similar to like Trae Young, he has selfish assists where he kind of makes the plays and it's a dump and then you get credited for that. So releasing the ball quicker, he could get better at, but he's working with Brinkley every summer. He's got the pedigree. He's got the family ties. Give me Cole Anthony. I love this kid.
So the only thing I'll say is like the thing as a Duke fan, I watch Cole Anthony obviously. And even as like just as a coach, when I watch him, there's a lot of volume shooting, right? Like he's a guy, like we talk about Trae, those things, which is fine. I don't think he is a true point guard. Is that fair? Like, I don't know if he creates enough for the team. Like he's a shoot first guy who has those selfish assists like you talked about. When I watch his tape and I watch his games, like he seems one dimensional to me. That's my concern.
I would say that he can score 3 levels though. Like he has really good mid-range game, which obviously is obsolete in today's game, but he can create some separation and
mid-range. What's mid-range, coach? What are we talking about here? NBA 2021.
His finishing around the basket scares me. It was really, really rough in North Carolina, but he already had a better year in the pros. But his ability to finish around the basket was the difficulty when he gets up there with the 7-footers of the world, and he has trouble with that. So that's something I think that he'll work on. I like him as a future pro. I don't know if he's a future starting point guard for the rest of his career, but if you can have him as a backup point guard, he could be one of the best. I think he can be one of the best backup point guards in the league. And then if you're playing on a team like Orlando, you could probably start.
So, that's the thing. Like, I worry about him maybe picking up some bad habits. I think his scoring ability is fine. I think that's where it's at. I look at him like you remember Mo Williams from the Cavs back
Absolutely.
in the day?
He got an all-star game one time.
He did. Remember, he played for LeBron. So I think Mo Williams is a good comp for me in terms of like what I see him as a player. Like, I don't necessarily know, but I think value.
I like that actually.
But value, you're right. Like value where you're at. He's a top 10 pick now if we redid this. So that's true.
Kira Lewis Jr. We'll see what happens with him, but he went ahead of him. We just talked about Killian Hayes, and then
I still take Halliburton, right? You're still taking Halliburton over him?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure we're on.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not that far. I mean, he's on my island, but I ain't going that far. I love me some Halliburton.
Okay, that's fair. Now, my guy is a guy that I probably would still take over Anthony. We could talk about that. Is Emmanuel Quickley from the Knicks, and who I think was always
Baltimore.
He was always a good pick. I liked him. I liked his tape in college. Did this. He played 64 games, 11-2-2. I don't necessarily think the stats here. He's a great defender. Field goal percentage needs to be up a little bit, but his three-point percentage is you see as 38%, and he's a great free throw shooter. He's one of the best rookie free throw shooters that we've seen. I love Quickley's game, and he got the Knicks back, right? We talked about the Knicks where they're at. I know Julius Randle's there. He's playing for one of the best coaches in the NBA, so he's definitely improved that. I think I don't know why he dropped so far. I'll be honest. When I watched him at Kentucky, I don't necessarily agree with where
he was considered a reach at draft day.
Yeah, which is like, I didn't think that. Like, I thought the Knicks were going to take Quickley when they took Obi in the 8th pick. Like, I thought he was that good. And when you watch him here, he's got range, coach. Like, it's a lot of, he's got range. He fits that system well. And I think the thing about him, like, he works hard. So Tibbs wants guys that works hard. Like, he's going to go in there. He's like, hey, this is what we're going to do. He brings that scoring range. He does all the little things that you want to see. He can score. Like, he's not like Cole. He's not going to be able to always create for himself. But he does one thing very well. He shoots threes very well. And he has it for a very high percentage. And I think that's going to evaluate his game. He can attack the basket really well. He can really beat guys off the dribble. and especially good guys like you when you're looking at kind of what you're looking for here. So I like him. I think that he was a very, very good value pick at the 25th pick in this draft, and just his ability to kind of score, go to the rim. What do you think of Quigley?
I like him. He's a culture guy. He beat out Frank Ntilikina, who himself was a former lottery pick. He beat out Dennis Smith, a former lottery pick. So that showed me something. And that was like within the first week, those guys were already out of the rotation. They already got Quigley. I mean, Tibbs respects actually winning players. I think he is a winning player. The 3-point percentage, but his separation impresses me a lot. He presses on that front foot, sort of like James Harden, and creates enough separation. He's got some length for his height. He gets streaky. He had games where he'll like 30, and then he'll have 11, then he'll have like 20. And so like fantasy wise, it was like up and down all season. But like if you had him on the right night, if you had a daily league, he was standing out. But yeah, I think that this was a really good pick for New York. It makes their draft look a lot better because Obi Toppin didn't have a very bad rookie year. It struggled. He was injured. Maybe the jury's still out on him, but it really was bad. And we can kind of see why he dropped in the draft as he was considered the top college prospect, or at least the best player in college basketball at the time. So I like Immanuel Quickley from Baltimore, Maryland. And I know how hard he works because he works out around here in the summer every single day, early in the morning at 4 a.m. all the way through the night. So the kid just eats, sweats, loves basketball, and his ability to play with Derrick Rose and another guard. So you got 2 point guards, shooting guards, and his ability to play with a guy like that shows that I like him going for the future.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think he's great, and I love that he brought the Knicks back. Like he's part of that Knicks resurgence.
He is.
NBA is good when the Knicks are good. Like we have to have a good Knicks team. Like we got to figure this out, and I think that's good that he's back. Now, me and Coach are optimists too. Like we were good people here, and there's some guys that we still believe in. Like guys that, hey, we're here. Like jury's still out is a little different. Like I think these guys definitely had a really kind of up and down year. So like jury's still out as guys that maybe we saw, hey, but these are the guys that we think can still actually live up to their expectations or exceed it. And Coach's one is an interesting one because he got picked second, right? So who is your guy?
It's James Wiseman, and I know he's subject to some criticism, especially LaMelo Ball was drafted the pick after him. Injury riddled rookie season, and with the knee thing, it worries you with the big guy like himself. What I do like is look at that 52%, 11 and 6 within his minutes. Those were good production.
Yeah.
And he's got a good stroke. Like I could see him developing into someone if you leave him open, sort of like Embiid, where he doesn't shoot a great percentage from 3-pointer, but he can make it if you leave him open. His length is very, very impressive. So I think defensively, he still stands out. And ideally the Warriors had their future 5 in this pick. And if he stays healthy, I would love him to have gotten some experience. I think they probably have the edge over Memphis if he does play, but they just really didn't have anything for Valanciunas with Draymond running all over the place. I like James Wiseman. I liked him before the draft. I know everybody kind of thought he was going to be a bust, but if he doesn't get hurt, we're not talking so bad about him. He was on par to be a first team all rookie. He wasn't bad, but what does stand out, the Warriors were a lot better without him. That's kind of scary. But that's also like a 19-year-old kid trying to figure out the NBA. But he's got Penny in the back pocket. I think that'll bode well as a mentor. So I'm not giving up on James Wiseman just yet. No Kwame slander on Mr. Wiseman.
No, I think so. If you had to redo this, you obviously LaMelo's there. Would you stack Wiseman or Anthony Edwards?
For the Warriors, I'd get Edwards. Edwards is just, man, he's making me eat my words. I still don't think he's necessarily a winning player, but he's dunking all over the place. I love to watch the kid. Yeah. I really love to watch Anthony Edwards, and he is appealing. So, no, I would not get him over Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks like I think Wiseman, I don't really like the fit with the Warriors. I think he'll be okay. He's got to learn how to kind of extend that range a little bit in the NBA now. And I think the point you brought up that I get worried about, remember at Memphis when he went to college, he only played like I think it was 8 games and he had to, or maybe even less, and he had to opt out, remember, because of all the recruiting violations, all that. which was stupid, but he had to. So he hasn't played necessarily that much. Then he played 39 games this year. So you got to get some experience, right? You got to see him on the court. So I believe that's why we still believe in him, because I think he is a talented man. Like, he's a talent. He's a monster. So hopefully he can fit there. I do think he's a good piece around Draymond. Like, I think he can fit there if they're in there with Steph and Clay coming back. I think that opens up for him. So I agree with you there.
And Draymond has his back. He's in his face, but it's like it's in the way that like LeBron James is in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's face. Like, shoot the damn ball. It's in your face, but it's still motivating. It's still uplifting in its own way. And I think that he can handle it. Some people can. Some people can. I think he can. He's really good in the block. Like, I know that was against high school kids, but I do like his ability in the post, and that's really obsolete in today's game. But I'd like him in that area.
Yeah, let's not talk about KCP ever again on this show. All right, so my guy is RJ Hampton. He went a weird route. He didn't go to college. We know that. He went to the basketball league down there in New Zealand, Australia over there. In games, he got traded already, so he obviously got traded to Orlando. He played 51 games, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Field goal percentage is 43%. 3-point percentage is 31%. His free throw percentage could use a little work. I like RJ, and I think this is more of a homer pick for me because he's so damn athletic. Like, he is like that guy that he's going to fit well in Orlando. I think that it's going to be funny, Coach. I don't know who's going to shoot more, him or Cole Anthony. They're going to definitely test that theory out because they're going to be putting up shots. But again, RJ is just athletic, and I think that he fits a role in the league. I think he is defensively pretty good. He has a good stroke. I actually like his ability to kind of shoot, catch, and shoot, as you just saw right there in the clip. I like him. I don't necessarily know like where he's at in terms of. I thought he got underdrafted when he first got. I thought he fell a little bit too far. I thought he was worth a top 15 pick, at least a lottery pick, and he kind of fell out of that. He's at 24. So I like RJ. I think that he's going to be on that rebuilding team, which I actually like what the Magic are doing. It's weird. Like, I know they kind of blew it up, but I love that kind of fit they have in there with Carter, those guys that are down there. He can create for himself. I think he's underrated as a prospect. And RJ might be one of those guys that I just kind of tie myself to and just die on his hill as like, yeah, I think he can still be in this league. I think he I'm never going to forget a guy that got traded mid-season because I just feel like that's just something that you can't do. But what do you think of Hampton?
He plays hard. He rebounds well. He has 0 moves. That's what I'm scared of. He can't create.
Look at that.
Everything is basically transition and a bird. That wasn't a move. He did a little hesitation and went and used his athleticism. And I think that's what he's got to develop. You never know when you have someone foreign coming in and playing the game, whether they're gonna translate or not. It didn't look as great to start, but when he got to Orlando, I feel like he did have a fit and like they kind of believed in him and it powered him, and I think that gave him confidence. And then he was playing with Cole Anthony down the stretch there, but he actually ended the season on a better note than Cole Anthony. He really showcased himself those final 2 weeks, and hopefully that's a momentum spring going forward. I'm with you though. I think he was low on the draft, but I was sort of low on him coming in. I didn't know what to get. I saw him match up against LaMelo, and I thought they were like not even in the same tier group, which they probably aren't. But his athleticism does stand out, and we'll see. Hopefully in Orlando, I like what you said as far as what they're doing there with the young, and we pray, we hope that Jonathan Isaac comes back, because he was looking like a top 5 defensive player, and he can really shoot the ball. So we hope that he comes back and Orlando has some hope going forward.
Yeah, I think to your point, he is a straight line basketball player. So he is a straight line guy, and he's just going to get point A, point B with not a lot of moves. But if you're going to be a straight line basketball player, because I've coached a couple kids like that, they got to be fast as shit and they have to be athletic. And RJ Hampton is both those things. So I think that I don't worry as much about it because he is that now. If he got injured, loses athleticism, that could be an issue. But my jury's still out on him. I think that I still believe in his talent, and I like him as a kid. Like, he's a good kid. Like he's a good person.
He is a good person. I think you could say the same thing about James Wiseman. I've heard him speak, and it's glowing the way that he handles himself as a young professional.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, guys. Hey, we appreciate you stopping in. You know, we reviewed the 2020 NBA draft. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff on Coach's Corner now that the summer's going to be hitting. We have a little bit more free time. We're going to be looking at fixing franchises. We're going to start with my Kings first so I can tell them what the hell to do. Fire Luke Walton. But besides that, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. And everybody out there, hit that subscribe button, please. We're bringing you tons of content, 3 different sports, movie minutes, foodies. We got all kinds of stuff on this channel. So we'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Coach?
That's my buddy, Coach Coleman. I'm Coach Lewis. That's all we have for you today. Also, I heard maybe Luke Walton's getting brought back another year. I'm sorry.
He is getting brought back. Yeah,
it's like Scott Brooks with the Wiz. We both want him out of there, but we can't get rid of them.
They're hanging around. They're hanging around like just a disease. All right, guys. We'll check you guys later. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you all.